Going to mute for a moment for our evil Facebook overlords. Mark Zuckerberg, the Vladimir Putin of Facebook.
Now, Chris Duel.
Glory, glory, hallelujah on this Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. Tonight, history could be made at the AT&T Center as one coach, Gregory Charles Popovich, with an opportunity to make history and surpass his friend and mentor, Don Nelson, for the most ever regular season wins in NBA history. Pop already has the record for regular season plus postseason. One of many things we'll talk about this morning. In fact, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, going to join us at about 8:05. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy KOLOK is your Soundscape stylist. And Shannon, in the last 21 hours, lots of information involving NFL quarterbacks and destinations now known for Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and it came down pretty quickly, right? One domino fell, and then the other one followed suit. Aaron Rodgers officially staying with the Packers. There was kind of rumors of what that contract and deal will look like. I believe it's 4 years, $200 million with $153 guaranteed for Aaron Rodgers. But he, as well as Pat McAfee, came out and said no deal has been signed. There's been nothing, no pen to paper yet. Yes, he is going to be a Packer for future years to come, but he has not officially signed a contract yet. And then shortly after, I guess Aaron Rodgers loves the attention, and I think Russell Wilson knows that, and so decided that today would be a good day, just shortly after this Aaron Rodgers announcement, to go ahead and make the move and become a Denver Bronco. That is where Russell Wilson will be playing in the orange and blue next season to face off against Patrick Mahomes twice a year, Justin Herbert twice a year, and Derek Carr twice a year. And I think when you look at that, you say, wow, what are his chances to actually win that division, to find his way into the playoffs? And I say, well, probably about the same as playing for the Seattle Seahawks when you're the only team in your division last season to not make it to the playoffs. So if he's happier over there, if he's ready to just part ways with Pete Carroll, good for him. I feel bad for the Seahawks fan because I know that fan base is all about Russell, and he did bring them a Super Bowl, but clearly a time for him to move on and do something else. Mr. Unlimited, now a Denver Bronco.
Yeah, and I've heard so many people, and they said this before the deal was done with Russell Wilson, and I heard it again yesterday, that Denver is only a really good quarterback away from being, a great team and a Super Bowl contender. But Russell Wilson, and I know Seattle has been on the downturn for the past few years. I don't know. Part of Russell Wilson's greatness very early on in his career was his mobility. But now in his mid-30s, not running as much, not only he doesn't have the legs of a 25-year-old, but B, I think you learn as a running quarterback in the NFL that you survive to play more plays and more years in the NFL if you run less and hang out in the pocket and get rid of that ball faster and throw more. But we will see. I mean, who doesn't like Russell Wilson? By all accounts, a very good guy, does great things for communities, for people, for kids. I certainly want to see him successful. And I saw a stat yesterday that was put out by The Athletic, and it kind of blew my mind a little bit, Shannon, I retweeted it. With the movement of Russell Wilson from Seattle to Denver, at the moment now, as of yesterday, updated your longest tenured quarterbacks in the NFL with one team now. Number one atop the list, Aaron Rodgers, 17 years with the Packers. Number two, Matt Ryan, 14 years with the Falcons. Number three, Derek Carr, 8 years with the Raiders, and number 4 on the list, and this is what blew my mind, the 4th most tenured NFL quarterback with the same team, Mr. Dakota Rain Prescott.
Preston.
Thank you. Stunning. Thank you, Jeremy, right there already this morning. 6:15 in the morning. Coffee hasn't even kicked in, and he's right there with the drops. You got to love him. But Shannon, it seems like yesterday to me that Dak was a rookie and Romo got hurt, and then Dak's having a great year, and then will Romo come back? And then Romo has that emotional press conference and hands the keys to Dak, and here we are, 4th longest tenured quarterback with his team in the NFL. Crazy to me.
I mean, that's pretty wild, but understandable, right? Because I'm trying to go back and go through the rosters and quarterbacks, and just think of the quarterbacks that have made moves, right? Matthew Stafford, clearly with the Lions for a long time. Tom Brady with the Patriots, now retired. Phillip Rivers with his Chargers organization for so long before making the moves to the Colts and ultimately retiring. Drew Brees recently retired too. So, a couple years ago, obviously Dak, not as many seasons, but I think you also, that middle got a lot thinner just in the last few years of the NFL. And Derek Carr's fun to me because I feel like, especially during the John Gruden era, with him as head coach for the Raiders, there was constant conversation and chatter of like, do they like each other? Is he even going to be the guy? Gruden doesn't seem to believe in him. He's probably not going to last. Maybe he's more of a backup. But yet he's done really well for that team when they've needed him to. And he's part of what makes that division so elite.
Yeah, and one more thing that struck me as well when I look at that list of the top 4 longest tenured quarterbacks with one team, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Derek Carr, and Dak Prescott. Your mission as a quarterback in the National Football League is to deliver Super Bowls. And, Aaron Rodgers delivered 1 in 17 seasons with Green Bay. Matt Ryan went to 1, led 28-3 on most Super Bowl Sundays. That would have been a Super Bowl, but it was not a victory. I mean, he got to 1. Derek Carr, who you just mentioned, has not been to 1, and Dak Prescott, as we well know, has not sniffed a Super Bowl or an NFC championship game. So, we shall see if any of those guys deliver the goods. And as Cowboys fans, we certainly hope that Dak Prescott does. It was interesting as well yesterday, and I'm sure you know about this, Shannon. Not only was Russell Wilson traded from the Denver Broncos, from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos, but linebacker Bobby Wagner, who was drafted on the same day by the Seattle Seahawks in 2012, and those two were the only remaining members of the 2013 Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl championship team. They released Bobby Wagner yesterday. So, 2 mainstays of that Seahawks team, 1 on offense, 1 on defense. And certainly that Seahawks Legion of Boom defense was legendary. But the last 2 throwbacks and holdouts to their Super Bowl glory rosters gone. And I guess it's start all over again for the Seattle Seahawks.
If you're Pete Carroll, who is 70 years old, will be 71 come the start of the next NFL season.
Youthful
Is it worth the rebuild? Is it worth probably going through the scrutiny that'll be next year and even the year after, and potentially the organization letting you go because they don't believe that you can do it? Just cut your losses, man. I don't know. If I'm Pete Carroll, I'm out too. I'm out. We're all out. Y'all have fun.
As I hear you say that, and again, we're going to talk a lot of GREGG Popovich today. Pop is 73, and you ask the question, Shannon, is it worth the rebuild for Pete Carroll? And I got to believe, and I sense that for Pete Carroll and for GREGG Popovich, in a rebuilding kind of the situation, this is what they do. They're coaches. They relish their roles. Pete Carroll, obviously, with his time at USC with young people, part of what he did was teach. And Pete Carroll's like obviously a rah-rah kind of guy. Some people criticize him for that. I kind of dig it. So it's a great question. At 71, Pete Carroll, soon to be 71. Do you want to go through this? But it's what he does, and he's better at it than the vast majority of football coaches on the planet, as is Pop in basketball. So I think you probably relish the challenge and are energized by. I think I heard Pop say last season, and I think this year's Spurs team even younger than last year, but there were a lot of young people on that Spurs team last year, even though you had Patty Mills and LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan and others. But he said he felt more energized. He was excited by it. So I think if you love the game and this is what you do, and you're a coach and a teacher, and in both of their cases, you've been to the mountaintop, you've been to the promised land, I think you're excited to see if you can do something like that again.
Yeah, I get that, and like the taste of it and wanting more. But to me, there is a big difference between Pop and Pete Carroll, and then also just the sport itself, like being a football coach in Seattle, those elements, and a fan base who I can't imagine is A, happy right now, and B, I don't see them being a very patient fan base, with the understanding that they are in fact going through a rebuild, and they are now in need of a franchise quarterback, which is a key piece and something that they, from just the landscape of the NFL, is very hard to find these days.
Very true. And I got to believe, Russell Wilson was beloved by that Seattle Seahawks fan base. So yeah, when the team consciously dealt him, and if by all indications, and a lot of this started Super Bowl week a year ago when Russell Wilson went on the Dan Patrick Show, which, oh, by the way, follows us. It's national and it's a great show. And Russell Wilson was never a guy to speak out against his team or vocalize disharmony. And, he indicated he was not happy. Things were not going well. You got to believe that Seahawk ownership and Pete Carroll, there was certainly a rift between them and Russell Wilson. And, they decided to part ways, and maybe ultimately it was irreconcilable differences between those parties. As we roll forward, I do want to welcome in, looking a little tired this morning. And that's the beauty of the live video feed. If you don't believe me, you can judge for yourself. And that always, whenever I hear that, and welcome in Jeremy KOLOK, some mornings and even evenings, I feel good. When you, it's like, I feel good today. And then someone says to you, man, Chris, you look tired. And I'm like, damn, what? I feel good. All right. I sense, and maybe I'm out of line here, Jeremy, you look a little tired. Are you tired? How do you feel? And if so, why?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm just a little tired, but that's all right. I feel good at the same time, like you said, but just maybe a little bit more sleep deprived than normal when I stroll on in here to get things ready for the Chris Duel show with Shannon and Salty Sweeney. But I was in here last night for a heck of a fight by the local UTSA Roadrunners men's basketball team, who went down to Southern Miss in the Conference USA men's basketball tournament. And I'm going to have to pull the audio for y'all, but
sure.
There's the name of the tournament was insanely long. And they made Andy say it.
Oh no.
At the beginning. Yeah. So I'm going to have to, I pulled the audio, but I just haven't loaded it yet because that was like 7 hours ago, or something. But it was also, so UTSA's season is over, unfortunately. Salute to the Roadrunners and Coach Steve Henson and whatnot, all them boys. And it was a weird dynamic because when Andy signed off, he was like, all right, bye, Jeremy. I'll see you. Well, I don't know when I'll talk to you again. And I was like, well, I'll be here. I'll be there in the morning, Andy, to pick up the phone when you call into the Chris Duel show to talk to Chris and Shannon. But it was a weird dynamic because I mean, it's probably the same with you, Chris, with Bill Schoening and Michael Bartlett, even though you still probably talk to them. But during the middle of the season, I mean, I'm talking to Andy, and sitting with him for 4-hour broadcasts twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Just super often. And then so last night, UTSA season's done. He's like, well, I guess I'll see you for football season or something. I don't know. Sometime at some point.
Wow. It is odd. And and what you just described, Jeremy, I imagine, athletes who are in season, and coaches and staff members, they obviously go through the same thing. And I'm looking at that final score last night, Shannon, and we'll talk with Andy about this tomorrow when he does his usual Thursday hit with us on the radio. But looks like a game UTSA should not have lost. Southern Miss came in at 7-25, and UTSA was 10-22. So Southern Miss 3 games worse than UTSA overall. Southern Miss, and I think these are now records after last night's game. Southern Miss 1-17 in Conference USA, UTSA 3-15. So looks to me, and we'll talk to Andy about that, looks like a game that UTSA should have and probably expected to win at least the opener of the, whatever it is, the Weed Whacker Pollen Folgers Coffee Conference USA Championship series.
Yeah, I think that team overall would agree that the season as a whole was not the best, not the way they hoped it would go. Let's recall UTSA moving to the American Athletic Conference, and it's not just football. All the sports go with it. So it'll be interesting to see how that basketball team fares once that move is made.
Yeah, and it's got to be tough for that basketball team, which is, struggling a little bit. They had a couple of big stars a year ago who wound up leaving. So this was a little bit expected, but such success with that football program. And there he is, Jeff Traylor, our friend of the show. So, I think on a certain level, all ships rise with a rising tide. But hopefully in the long run, that's going to happen. Certainly the overall athletic department at UTSA looks like it's on an upswing. We talked the other day about the big baseball win over number 2 Stanford. So we'll talk with Andy tomorrow and get the latest on all of that. But this morning, so much to cover. Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Russell Wilson goes to Denver. And some legal proceedings for Deshawn Watson coming up in the next couple of days in Houston. Who wants Deshaun Watson? Apparently there is still serious interest. And we talked about this. Once the first domino falls, Aaron Rodgers, then other dominoes are going to fall, Russell Wilson. In short order, might somebody make a move for Deshaun Watson, even though it would be very risky at this moment? We'll get into that and a whole lot more coming up. Shannon's Salty Shakedown in the 7 o'clock hour with sports history and sports birthdays. But next, it'll be the high five play of the day. Jeremy KOLOK is your Soundscape stylist. She's the salty one. I'm Chris, with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. See who we have in here. Good morning, everybody. There is Taro Kotani. Taro, great job yesterday, sir. Loved having you in studio. And once again, I'm looking at social media, and Taro, last night at the Austin Spurs game, I might have to talk to Shannon about this on the radio. There he is, like on the bench. If not on the bench, like right near the end of the bench at the Austin Spurs game at the AT&T Center with Keldon Johnson and Lonnie Walker and others. So that's pretty amazing. All right. I'm going to grab some hot coffee in a moment, but let's say hello. If you made a comment, I can see you, and we'll say hello. Anthony Del Toro, Steve Duraco, the original Rock, Tracy Bogert, the chairman of the Bexar County MAGA Republicans and Vladimir Putin supporters. Good to see you in here. Hector Gomez, Beth Settle. Good morning, Beth. You're up early. Everybody's up early. Sam Tobias, Luisa Alanis, Lucinda Sullivan, Ofa Lin from Singapore. So we got Ofa Lin in the house from Singapore. We got Taro Kotani from downtown San Antonio, Jason Paniagua, Anthony Del Toro, Robert Browning from Tokyo. Robert Browning, Had to get it from the iHeartRadio app, but I just listened to the show yesterday with Taro. Robert, thank you. And that's a good point. If you missed the show, we love it when you listen anytime, and you can catch replays on the iHeartRadio app. And is that a Mount Fuji emoji there? I think possibly. Maxwell H., who's been in here recently. A lot of great takes on the Cowboys and the NFL. Yeah, and now that Rodgers is not going to San Francisco, does that mean Tom Brady is still working his way there? Lucinda says, I'm not a Seattle fan, but I think it was a needed change. I think a lot of people agree with that. Lucinda wants a T-shirt from Tracy Bogart's support group. And good morning, Jesse Bratton. Welcome in, Jesse. Jesse says, go, Spurs, go. Let me see if my coffee is hot enough. Oh, my Spurs shirt in honor. So I got the In Pop We Trust hat, of course, because it's a big day. Spurs Dia de los Muertos T-shirt going. I wore this last week for Spurs React, but I thought, I got to wear a Spurs shirt today of some kind. So that was the first one I grabbed. Well, and what Robert is saying there, which is cool. Robert is in Tokyo, in Japan. He is going to climb Mount Fuji, and he is going to plant a Spurs flag. And he says he's also going to give a shout out to the show and to me and Shannon and Jeremy when he gets to the top of Mount Fuji. Maybe, Robert, we might have to get you may know this, there's a company in San Antonio called Dixie Flag Company. Maybe we need to get a Chris Duel show flag made, like a little mini flag. And I could mail that to you before June 1st. And you could plant that flag atop Mount Fuji. There I am horning in on the Spurs glory. So that'd be cool, though. Just an idea. Just a thought. All right, Robert, I might have to get on that. It should be pretty easy. Because, video of that, when you do that, that would be huge street cred for us. And by the way, Robert, we've talked about this. I do want to get you on shortly before you make the attempt. And heck with make the attempt before you conquer Mount Fuji. So let's do that. And I saw, and he's not in here right now, but our good friend Clint Proctor running or participant, part of it is running, doing an Ironman competition soon. When one of our listeners / viewers / participants in the show does something extraordinary, certainly in the world of sports, Haas Holding, a wrestler, getting into wrestling in his late 50s, early 60s, and winning. We've had him on the show, and we'll have him on again. That's just, when that happens, we love having you guys on the show. Taro, with his journeys from Tokyo to San Antonio 17 times. Well, make sure your flag can handle 30 to 50 mile an hour winds. Atop Mount Fuji. Wow, that adds a whole layer of engineering to it. Well, look at this. Maxwell says, my next butt-pulled prediction, Amari Cooper to the Broncos. Good morning. Wow. That would be a big, big deal for the Broncos, certainly, if they could pull that off. James Rippey, good morning. Welcome in. What is up? Got to get this camera aligned a little better. Let's see here. Let me do this. This camera always needs tweaking. I guess that'll do. Jason Paniagua also thinks Amari Cooper would be headed for the Denver Broncos. Whoa. James Rippey, I'm a lifelong Broncos fan, so I am very happy. I'm going to call it right now. Broncos beat the Packers in Super Bowl 58. That would be wild. Obviously because, the Aaron Rodgers was considered to be a possible Bronco target.
Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney.
Rocky Mountain Way. Jeremy KOLOK all over it as Soundscape Stylist as we talk about Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. Denver, of course, in the Rocky Mountains. So Jeremy KOLOK connecting the dots to Rocky Mountain Way. That's pretty cool. Welcome in. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney, even sleep deprived. Jeremy KOLOK is right there with his meaningful and symbolic musical cuts. An interesting, just passing along a comment on the live video feed. And by the way, so many ways you can be a part of the show. And the brand new way that we told you about last week, and we continue to remind you, and we say it because there's always new listeners and viewers, is there's a new feature on the free iHeartRadio app where you can instantly talk back to us as you listen to the show. And by the way, the show is always crystal clear on the iHeartRadio app. In fact, speaking of which, Robert Browning said earlier during the break, he is in Tokyo, Japan, and he missed Taro Kotani on the show live yesterday. So he listened to the replay on the iHeartRadio app. Yes, there is a podcast. You can always catch the show. We love it when you listen. We love it when you listen live, and we also love it when you listen later. So thanks for that, Robert. But on the all-new iHeartRadio app, which is free, You listen on either AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760. There's a microphone button on the bottom. If you want to talk back to us instantly, click on that microphone, leave your message, send it to us. We get it instantly, and we will probably play it on the air because we appreciate your comments. Now, if you want to dial into the show on the phone line and talk to us, that's easy. 800-707-9760. The live video feed, you can access it from Facebook Live, from Twitter, and from YouTube. And Shannon, James Rippey, via YouTube this morning on the live video feed says, I'm a lifelong Broncos fan, so I'm very happy. I'm going to call it right now. Broncos beat the Packers in Super Bowl 58. Shannon, if that happened, that would be a great matchup. Russell Wilson versus Aaron Rodgers, having had, Aaron Rodgers maybe considering Denver, having Denver maybe considering Aaron Rodgers, Denver's history with like bringing in like a Peyton Manning to go win a Super Bowl. And what's going to continue to be the narrative, Shannon, I thought about this as well. Aaron Rodgers, part of the issue in Green Bay is, dude, you're really good in the regular season, but other than that one Super Bowl, you don't deliver the goods in the playoffs. That's kind of a monkey on Aaron Rodgers' back still as well.
Yeah, that's true. And for that, I do like that storyline. I still have a hard time seeing how the Broncos are not only going to get through their division, but, the likes of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And I mean, the AFC is now stacked with quarterbacks. Joe Burrow. I mean, there's plenty of teams on that side that'll have something to say about the Broncos getting to the Super Bowl for the chance to. I mean, I'd say the chances of the Packers getting in are more likely than not, especially compared to the Broncos. But it's going to be a tall order for Russell to come in and make things happen right away.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, I'm beginning to doubt Russell Wilson, because of his, age and lack of mobility. I'm just wondering, can he be the quarterback he was? It's been 7 years since he led 2013, since he led the Seattle Seahawks to that Super Bowl championship. So we shall see. In a moment, after the high five play of the day, we'll introduce you to our poll question, which has a little something to do with a record that GREGG Popovich may or may not achieve tonight. We'll get into that in just a moment. But right now, it is time for the high five play of the day. We do this every morning at this time. We like giving out the high fives to those who deserve it, usually in the world of sports. But hey, man, we go outside the world of sports occasionally. High five play of the day is appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area. And Shannon, you know all about High Five. If the people don't know, and they should, about High Five, what will they find there? Well,
if you go there today, Chris, as it is Wednesday, you'll find all night happy hour, which is hard to find these days, right? COVID, it adjusted a lot of restaurants' happy hours. Some restaurants got rid of them for a while. They didn't end up bringing them back. But all night happy hour on a Wednesday is hard to beat. Plenty of sports going on to check out on all of their TV screens, as well as activities to do yourself with that Topgolf simulator, bowling, darts, axe throwing, plenty of arcade games to choose from, and more. Make sure you get to one of the High Five Austin area locations, one on Anderson Lane and one out in Lakeway. Today, sir, as people are waking up this morning, if they're anything like me, the first thing they go to on their phone is Twitter, and you will see Jackie Moon trending. And you may think, I thought we were in 2022, not 2008, when the movie Semi-Pro came out, starring Will Ferrell, Woody Harrelson, Will Arnett, and Andre 3000, in which Will Ferrell played the character Jackie Moon, a semi-pro basketball player with an amazing afro. But no, it's because Will Ferrell as Jackie Moon appeared at Shoot-Around yesterday with the Warriors before they took on the Clippers. For those that pay attention during Halloween, it's the NBA. The players love dressing up, especially when they have games on or near Halloween. That's always something to look out for. And in 2018, Klay Thompson dressed as Jackie Moon himself. And it was a lot of fun during Shoot-Around because, it wasn't like Will Ferrell was just there being Jackie Moon and saying hi to fans in the stand. He was part of shoot around. He was shooting layups as well as free throws. And if you've seen the movie, you know that he's really good at shooting free throws.
Don't worry, guys. I got these. Very good at free throws. Seriously, free throws are probably the best facet of my game.
Now, Klay Thompson was asked after the game, and we've got that audio for you as well, how it affected him and if it was maybe a little too over the top. But just as a heads up, the Warriors did win that game against the Clippers 112-97. Klay Thompson had 20 points on the night, so he fared pretty well. But here's Klay talking about that experience in the postgame.
Yeah, I had no idea that was coming, and that was so cool. I mean, dreams do come true.
Steph said it could have been good, it could have been bad. You know, obviously you guys are working there. You're getting close to a basketball game. Was there any moment where you thought, this might be a little out of hand right now?
No, I still got my shots up. I was still getting my work in, and it was just great to see him in character. That was so funny. Hopefully not the last time. That was great.
A dream come true for Klay Thompson. So a high five to Will Ferrell for going all in and being Jackie Moon yesterday and kind of reviving. I would not be surprised if everyone is trying to find semi-pro to watch at some point this week or this weekend now that Will Ferrell has revived that character. Chris, they announced the Warriors as they took the court for shoot-around pregame. And all the Warriors came out, and then out comes trotting in the back of the line, one Mr. Will Ferrell as Jackie Moon. You're a fan sitting in the stands. Are you thinking, shouldn't we be focused on the game? Or are you like, oh my gosh, best thing ever. We need more of this from Will Ferrell and anyone who's taken part in great sports movies?
I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Now, clearly, had Golden State lost the game, there might be some people going, see?
Yeah.
You guys weren't locked in, but it's pregame warm-ups. I mean, anybody who's gone to an NBA game, pregame warm-ups, they're warm-ups. And, sometimes they're kind of fun and the players goof sometimes. Sometimes players from opposite teams will have a chat with one another. Some players are doing like 360 layups and dunks. So I love it. I just, the NBA once again, they really get it with entertainment value and the value of social media. And you made a huge point. You woke up this morning, like so many people, you looked at your Twitter. Oh, Jackie Moon is trending. What? And you looked at it, and that was a great, feel-good, funny ad for the NBA. And I love what you just mentioned, that Klay Thompson didn't know it was coming. It's one thing if Steve Kerr goes in the locker room, okay, here's Will Ferrell, we're going to do this. The fact that he goes out for warm-ups and then, oh my God, it's Will Ferrell as Jackie Moon. I love it. I think that's way cool.
Chris, we talk so often about our favorite sports movies, and a lot of times we think of like the ones that pull at our heartstrings and the ones that we take, remember the Titans. I love The Rookie, but Will Ferrell, as he's playing Jackie Moon in this semi-pro basketball movie, I'm thinking of his catalog. He's like the comedy king of sports movies. Kicking and Screaming, where he plays the soccer coach to a bunch of little kids, with the famous line, "Make sure you cheat, just don't get caught." Talladega Nights, which has references and drops for days. The figure skating movie, Blades of Glory, with the star of Napoleon Dynamite, John Heder. And then the movie that it wasn't obviously scripted, but that HBO 2015 movie, Ferrell Takes the Field, where he flew to all of these major league games in one day and played in all of those games and played all of those positions. I mean, he's the comedy king of sports movies, if you ask me. I love it.
When I didn't think that thought until you laid it out there and gave us all those movies. But I totally agree with you. I think it's really cool. And again, as a USC partisan, and I am, and Ferrell went to USC, and back in the Pete Carroll days, we talked about Pete Carroll earlier, Will Ferrell and Snoop Dogg used to hang out on the sidelines. I am hoping now that Lincoln Riley, even before this morning, looking at those clips, I hope Lincoln Riley is paying attention and I mean, use what you've got. Texas has Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
Texas should roll him out, and they do often. USC's got Will Ferrell. Lincoln Riley, if you're listening, dude, roll this guy out. I'm not a Warriors fan, but obviously the Lakers are down and the Clippers are down. And had he done this at a Lakers or a Clippers game, maybe not nearly as entertaining as doing it with the Warriors last night. And in particular, Klay Thompson and that soundbite saying "dreams come true" was spectacular. But that was cool. I'm with you. I hope more pop culture people and certainly people who've been in sports movies would do stuff like this in the NBA.
I'm trying to think now because you bring up the USC thing with Will Ferrell. I don't think he's done football. He should do something USC at one point, right? With all of the drama that's ever come on, whether it's like a mockumentary, some sort of some of the stuff, or just a completely new scripted idea. I think that'd be really smart and really funny.
I think he should try out for the Song Girls, the cheerleaders for USC. The Song Girls are, they tend to often look like your stereotypical or archetypal Southern California beautiful young women. Will Ferrell out there in a Song Girls uniform, taking it seriously, learning the cheers with the pom-poms and the kicks. I don't know.
From his SNL days, we know he can cheer.
Special.
We know he can cheer from his SNL days. So that's not too far-fetched if you ask me.
A great idea, a great high five play of the day. And, and you mentioned movies and sports. And this is, a year ago, and we talked about it a lot when it happened, the Field of Dreams game that Major League Baseball did. And Shannon, you and Jeremy and I have talked about, Major League Baseball. A, you need to start playing baseball. You don't need to cancel more games. And B, they need to look at this again as well. Obviously the Field of Dreams game, and you mentioned that's a serious sports movie we love. Obviously, semi-pro, a funny sports movie we love, but Major League Baseball, in batting practice during, in the stands, for a 7th inning stretch or something, singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and they've done some of that before. But I just really think with social media, if you find the right celebrities or stars or actors or musicians, I really think there's a lot of opportunities across all sports for a bunch of teams to do this.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned specifically baseball, and I've got something in the shakedown for you today that maybe they can use to their advantage to do stuff like that.
We got a lot. There is so much going on in sports. We are all over it this morning. Of course, the quarterback news from the NFL. We talked Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. We'll talk more. Cowboys put a franchise tag on a guy you might not have predicted they would put a franchise tag on. We will get into that. NBA, Pop, Bill Schoening at 8:05. Salty Shakedown coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. Don't go anywhere. Jeremy KOLOK is making the show go. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. Hanging out with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Sam Tobias says Will Ferrell once portrayed the USC Trojan. Yeah, the guy who leads the band and with the sword at a game at the Rose Bowl. I remember seeing that on Sports Center. Yeah, there's footage of that out there. Wow, look at that, Maxwell. Remembering, it's one thing to remember Todd Marinovich, but to remember his dad, Marv Marinovich, you're going deep. I'm impressed by that reference. I mean, I would be impressed by a Todd Marinovich reference. I am more impressed by the Marv, he's the father of Todd Marinovich reference. For those who may not know, Marv Marinovich was Todd Marinovich's dad. And since he was a kid, he had him working out, football technique. He was designed to be a quarterback, and they called him like the robo quarterback, even like nutrition. Todd Marinovich couldn't eat the kinds of food and fast food and candy that kids his age ate. And as we all know, Todd Marinovich, when he wound up on his own at USC, And later with the Oakland Raiders, things kind of went off the rails for Todd Marinovich. But, and I think I saw a 30 for 30 many years ago now. It looks like, I think Todd Marinovich is now an artist. He loves to surf. He lives at the beach, and I think he makes art. And it looks like his life is on track. So good for him. Jason, no fast food, but old drugs were okay. Yeah, that was when he left. That was when he left the clutches of his dad. All right, I'm getting more coffee because I must, because I need it, because I can't live without it, because caffeine is the wonder drug that works wonders. And I am a coffee achiever, and because management frowns upon crystal meth. So you need something to get you going in the morning. Let me give you some Jeremy KOLOK up close and personal for your viewing pleasure. Back in a sec with hot coffee. Anthony Del Toro says Will Ferrell played a security guard and kicked Shaq out at another game. I don't remember that one. I got to go search that one down on YouTube. Let's see. Now, Louisa says the Spurs Coyotes birthday is today. How do we know that? I didn't know that what the Spurs Coyotes birthday was. I got to look that up. And then I got to add it to my sports birthdays. Okay, I'm going to Google Lucinda or Louisa. Got my L's mixed up. Louisa, I'm going to Google Spurs Coyote birthday. Wow, it auto-filled Spurs Coyote birthday 2022. It is tonight. So does that mean is tonight the Coyote bobblehead night? I think you're right. Wow. Glad you're here for this. I am adding that, Louisa. Adding that to sports birthdays. There it is. Wow, look at that. Jason even knows about the bobblehead back order. There's my sports birthdays for today. Louisa, you get a producer credit for today's show. Jason saying the bobblehead is on back order. I blame Joe Biden. So people are getting vouchers to redeem when they do arrive. Yeah, it's funny. I'm seeing everybody posting the Joe Biden stickers on gasoline pumps when pointing to the price. I did that. So I'm sure we can blame Joe Biden for the bobblehead back order. Okay, now Jorge, USFL. I think we're about 38 days away, so there will be football. You gotta go all into the USFL, man. Here we come. 7 o'clock hour. There you go. Gasoline prices, no baseball, and the bobblehead backlog. The Coyote bobblehead backlog. There you go.
Break on through to the other side. Break on through.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is Wednesday. It is March 9th. And tonight could be a night of glory for Spurs head coach Gregory Charles Popovich. Well, Jackie Moon should show up. See, Shannon, that's the answer. You and I have been talking. By the way, Chris Duel show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Jeremy KOLOK makes the show go. You know, we've been talking, Shannon. Will there be a celebration if Coach Gregg Popovich, and when? I mean, at this point now, 17 games left in the season. I think they're going to win tonight. So it's going to happen. Why not tonight? But you and I have speculated, will the Spurs players celebrate? You know, Gatorade bath, bottle of champagne over the coach's head, bottle of wine. He's a big wine connoisseur. Jackie Moon. Maybe last night was like the first of many Jackie Moon appearances all over the NBA. I would love at the end of the game tonight, if the Spurs win, all of a sudden, all the lights go down in the arena. There's a spotlight, and standing there with a bottle of wine or champagne, beckoning Coach Pop to come over, is Jackie Moon in his Miami Tropics basketball uniform.
You know, I don't hate it. I think Pop might hate it, but I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
I feel like deep down, though, he really does enjoy it. It's almost like he understands his persona at this point. And if he were to like let loose one time, he's afraid that it would become a thing, right?
Yeah.
So he's just like, no, just bottle it up. Keep it inside. Just be the wine guy. And I like that about him because I'm a night wine kind of gal. I feel like we could bond over some night wine. But for our poll question today, as you mentioned, Ticket 760 AM to AM 1300 The Zone, we're asking when Gregg Popovich surpasses Don Nelson for all-time regular season wins, because he will, and he will soon. Will we see a celebration? So far, Chris, 61% saying not going to happen. Nothing at all. Nothing from the coach, nothing from the player side, nothing from the organization. 23%, however, saying yes, but it'll just be the players who are happy and celebratory. 15% saying from the players and Pop that they will all share in the celebration, and nobody's so far saying that it's just going to be Pop just popping bottles all by himself, saying, look at me, I did it, I'm the man, I won, I can, I'm the king of all things basketball.
What I am going to be disappointed, Shannon, if the players don't do something. And granted, you may incur the wrath of Pop if you do it, and you probably will. Although, and as you say, I think part of Pop's tough guy persona is I think he kind of silently enjoys it when he gives a reporter the death look in post game and says something terse back to them. I really think that, and we've seen the humor side of Pop now and then. I just think he kind of realizes, this is what I do. If you do ask a stupid question, I am going to eviscerate you, but I don't think there's any malice. And I think he's kind of amused himself by the persona he has created. So I am hoping, and DeJounte Murray is now the leader of this team. I'm hoping DeJounte either has a bucket of water or a bottle of champagne or wine ready I want to see something on the court. I want to see them grab him, like I mentioned, hold him a little bit, pour something on his head, or as I mentioned yesterday, Shannon, a la when you win a Super Bowl championship, pick him up and carry him off the court. That would be cool as well.
I mean, we popular phrase, we do it for the gram. We do it for the pictures. We do it for the video. We do it for those memories, so we can feel that feeling over and over again. So Pop, if not for you Do it for your team. Do it for Spurs Nation. Do it for
Yes.
San Antonio. Do it for the NBA, Coach Pop. Because as much as you may feel like
And
I don't want to
another-
do it because it is about me, it's not about you. It's about everyone else. We want to witness history. We want to remember this moment.
Yes, make it a cool moment. And I didn't realize this during the break. Luisa Alanis, who joins us regularly, not only here in the morning, but I often see her participating in Spurs React after the games as well. We run live video of that as well on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages after the game. She pointed out, and I didn't realize this when I was compiling sports birthdays today. Today is the Spurs Coyotes birthday. And I now recall tonight is Coyote bobblehead night at the AT&T Center. So if Pop sets the record regular season victories tonight over Don Nelson on Spurs Coyotes birthday and Coyote bobblehead night, maybe DeJounte Murray and the Coyote need to pour wine or champagne all over Coach Gregg Popovich. And again, I want to see it, Shannon, on the court. Don't wait till the locker room. You got all those fans there who want to see it and say, hey man, I was there. I saw it. Do something. Show me something. Roll Tim Duncan out there.
The Coyote route is interesting because there's no retaliation that Pop can do. Right? You can't
True.
undress the Coyote because that would not be ethical. Think about the children, So there's nothing he could do. I like that route. He could do something later, but out in front of everybody with the cameras and do that route.
The answer to these questions could come tonight if the Spurs beat the Toronto Raptors, and we'll ask Bill Schoening about this and a whole lot more just after 8:00, less than an hour from now. The voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, is going to join us before we dive into some more football talk, including who the Dallas Cowboys franchise tagged yesterday. Quick reminders on how you can participate in the show: live video feed via Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, and you can participate that way. That's how Luisa reminded us today is the Coyotes' birthday, and we brought him into the conversation. Also, the new it's not a new app, but it's a new feature. It's the free iHeartRadio app, which has been around a long time. Probably one of the best apps. You not only get all your favorite radio stations, and among them must be AM 1300 The Zone and or Ticket 760, but any music you want, customized to you. It's very intuitive. Every podcast essentially is there. I mean, for your podcast, for your music, for your radio, for so much. And the new feature, when you listen to us on the iHeartRadio app, we're not only crystal clear, but at the bottom right there on your phone is a microphone button. It's red. You press it, you talk back to us. We get it instantly when you send it to us, and we'll probably play that on the air. You can also join us on the phone lines, 800-707-9760. Shannon, if on yesterday's show or a week ago or a month ago or at any time you said to me, the Cowboys on March 8th are going to franchise tag one of their players, name that player. Who are they going to franchise tag? I'd be going, Michael Gallup, DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, there's a bunch of names I would have come up with. One of the, especially going into this season, one of the last names I might have put on that list was the dude the Cowboys franchise tagged yesterday. Who was it, and were you surprised?
Dalton Schultz earned himself the franchise tag, and he seems to be happy about it. He retweeted the Dallas Cowboys announcement that they had placed their franchise tag on Dalton Schultz. I guess I'm surprised just based on name recognition and priority of maybe who the Cowboys need to keep around, but he was pretty solid last season, and Jason Witten, when he was playing and earlier towards not necessarily the end of his career, but he was such a safety blanket for Tony Romo and then Dak Prescott, and Schultz kind of became that, right? Especially when you had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup on the outside. He was that middle threat that, if those guys were covered, he just appeared open. He's got great hands. And I want to say he had some pretty crucial, like, third down catches in a lot of Cowboys games this season. So I like it. I like that he's sticking around. The franchise tag is interesting to me because, and maybe this is because I don't make millions of dollars, and I get that it's just a year thing, but that's a lot of money to make in a year. So I think he's rightfully happy about it. I think Cowboys fans should feel okay about it. I don't think they need to hate on it. But yeah, not the name that a lot of folks were expecting.
Yeah, and everything you say is absolutely true. He sure did have a great season last year. He has emerged as a clutch go-to guy. And you mentioned Jason Witten, and in his heyday, obviously, he was the safety valve. He was the go-to guy and the security blanket for Tony Romo. And, certainly Dak Prescott can use that. Dalton Schultz has kind of emerged as that. You look at other tight ends around the league, and, obviously Travis Kelce, there's not a lot of Travis Kelce's out there. He would certainly be the gold standard, but I really think, and you look at this Cowboys offense now and previously, and you need a great tight end. You need a tight end that you can rely on. You need a tight end that is a good, if not great, wide receiver. And Dalton Schultz has kind of become that guy. So in retrospect, now that I've seen them do this, I get it. And we hear so often, and you talked about, millionaires, a lot of times the players gripe about being franchise tagged because they think that it maybe prohibits them from making more money, yet, they're paid among the top players at that position when they're franchise tagged. It's got to be on a certain level, though, the highest compliment. It's like your team going, man, you're the guy we can't lose. We want more time to work out a deal. So, again, in Dalton Schultz's career, maybe even he, would not have expected this a year or two ago. So kind of a great progression for him at tight end. And again, that's very, very good news for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. And for anyone wondering, that's $10.9 million for Schultz this next season because of that tag.
My goodness. Double-digit millions. And who'd have thunk that? When Jason Witten left, I mean, we were aware of Dalton Schultz. We knew, he was on the roster, but, Blake Jarwin was another guy making noise. We just didn't know how long it would take for a tight end to emerge, but pretty good, man. I'll bet you there were a lot of people that would have bet against Dalton Schultz ever making, 11 mil a year at tight end. So very, very good for him. So we talked a lot of NFL football in the 6 o'clock hour, Shannon, and we should, because football season never ends and we love football here. Of course, the two big headlines yesterday involving quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay, Russell Wilson being traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos. But we also heard yesterday news about Deshaun Watson, and he continues to be very intriguing because we're hearing that there are some NFL teams out there who still are interested in him and want to do some kind of a deal with the Houston Texans to get him. And I've said for months now, whatever you can get for him, if you're the Houston Texans, get rid of him. I just think he is a cloud over that organization and that franchise. And I know they may be waiting so that he can get them more value if these charges, if he gets cleared of these charges. But we hear yesterday that a grand jury is going to hear evidence Friday involving the Deshaun Watson case. And apparently that grand jury and law enforcement officials in Houston are going to decide perhaps by the end of this week, formal charges against Deshaun Watson. So it's going to be very, very fascinating to see what happens here. And again, I heard somebody say this on national media yesterday. We talk about it a lot, Shannon. 22 accusers that we know of. And I almost wonder, it is said that when it comes to, sexual assault and or sexual harassment, there are some women who don't want to report it. There are some women who don't want that spotlight. There are some women who could be married or in a relationship and they would rather not that it not be made public. So I often wonder, with these 22 allegations against Deshaun Watson, is there one? Are there two? Might there be 7 other women who did not come forward? We don't know, and we may never know. But I heard somebody say yesterday, if one of those allegations, and what are the odds? I say where there's smoke, there's fire. But if just one of those 22 allegations against Deshaun Watson is true, then that is reprehensible. Then that is awful. And I still wonder, Shannon, and I'm going to be fascinated to see if another NFL team makes a play for Deshaun Watson, in the aftermath of what we just saw with Art Briles at Grambling State. And, Doug Williams didn't want him. A lot of the fan base didn't want him. And ultimately he said, all right, I won't come. I won't go. I just wonder what the reaction is going to be by any fan base if they learn that their new quarterback is Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and to the point of Art Briles, Art Briles obviously scorned from what went down at Baylor, but, he never did jail time. And essentially, if Deshaun Watson and these cases are dismissed in criminal court, he's still going to have that over him. And you're right. Are fans going to, say, well, fair trade, he might win us a Super Bowl? Where do your morals lie in all of this? And as we now have confirmation that Aaron Rodgers staying with the Packers, Russell Wilson going to the Denver Broncos, the other dominoes are falling. Guys, teams are looking to make moves, and this is going to be huge come Friday for the NFL.
Yeah, there's so many quarterback questions still. The Indianapolis Colts with Carson Wentz, now that these dominoes are falling, and as you pointed out in the 6 o'clock hour, it was like almost instantaneously. Once the Aaron Rodgers domino fell yesterday, then boom, we heard the Russell Wilson trade from Seattle to Denver. But so, you got Carson Wentz at Indianapolis. Do they ultimately, and I mean, clearly the general manager at Indianapolis just vocalizing, he said, well, I'm still deciding. I don't know if he's the right quarterback for this. You had him for a year. It was a 1-year audition. And even if they brought him back, it almost seems clearly like a vote of no confidence from what the general manager of the Indianapolis Colts has been saying about Carson Wentz. But I even saw this morning, we talked about what will Seattle do now at quarterback. One idea is Carson Wentz to the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if that's something they want to do or not, but if you're the Colts, if you're the Seahawks now, if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, there are teams out there in need of a quarterback. And do you look at Deshaun Watson? And Shannon, in the aftermath of the Me Too movement, there are a lot of actors in Hollywood, and there are a lot of executives across all kinds of companies who are no longer employed or doing what they previously did at a high level. And I have a feeling that a significant portion of a fan base is going to be vocal enough when they learn that Deshaun Watson is being considered as their quarterback. I just think an NFL owner is going to say, I don't need this, and I'm ultimately going to lose money and get very, very negative publicity if I go for this guy.
And in thinking of that, it kind of blows my mind that we've been sitting on this for over a year now, right? And wondering what will happen, and then once something's decided in court or not, what would happen to Deshaun Watson if he doesn't end up playing, because no team will take him, because no fan base will accept him as the leader of their organization. How do we look back on this last year of him just sitting there with the Houston Texans and appearing at a couple practices here and there, but not doing anything, not appearing at, like, the fact that the NFL as a league just kind of held on to him with the hope that, like, well, he's one of he's the future of the league. He's a shining star. He's the face of the league. Like we got to hope for the best that he'll make it through whatever. And then it's like, oh wait, never mind. I just that to me it will say a lot. I think about the NFL and how they handle their players. And me personally, I'm glad I've got Dak Prescott. I'm glad he's, as far as we know, an upstanding citizen, and we don't have to have these conversations about him.
And that's ironic as well, because I remember there was talk, and I even engaged in that talk when it was, if you're a Cowboys fan, would you rather have the Texans number 4, Deshaun Watson, or would you like our number 4, Dak Prescott? And there was a time, especially when Dak was going through those contract negotiations with the Cowboys, where a lot of people believed, and I will admit I had those thoughts as well. There was a moment when it looked like Deshaun Watson was a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. But certainly now, my God, you certainly wouldn't want him. And to your point as well, Shannon, about last season, Deshaun Watson was fully paid. So he did nothing. He had these horrible allegations against him. He said, I don't want to play for the Texans. So they paid him. So no sanction from the NFL. The Texans paid him. I got to wonder moving forward, if in NFL contracts, there shouldn't be a clause that it's like, if you do something absolutely reprehensible, and even if after the fact, we find out that you are convicted, I would think Deshaun Watson owes the Houston Texans millions and millions of dollars for doing nothing last season, and they paid him and enhanced his millionaire status for doing not a damn thing. It blows my mind.
Yeah, he should give that money back. He should give it back.
Yep. All right. Give it back, Deshaun. Make things right. Don't hold your breath. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown in the very next segment, sports history and sports birthdays. Coming up at the top of the hour, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, who called a baseball game last night. Dude is like working all the time. We'll talk, a lot to talk about with Bill Schoening, including, will there be any kind of a celebration tonight on any level? And will Will Ferrell and Jackie Moon be involved if Coach Gregg Popovich sets the record tonight and surpasses Don Nelson for all-time NBA regular season wins? Little Glenn Campbell, Southern Nights coming at you from Jeremy KOLOK, your Soundscape stylist. She's the salty one with her shakedown moments away. I'm Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. There you go. That's an interesting take from Jason. Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Dak. He's not a better human being, though. Yeah. I mean, Dak Prescott on the human being scale rates very, very highly. All right, I think I'm going to go on a quest for more coffee. It is the wonder drug that works wonders. Caffeine is the wonder drug that works wonders. Sam Tobias saying that the Texans say, hey, Deshaun, we're going to need that money back from last season. Deshaun says, I don't think so. But I mean, think about it. He was healthy enough to play. He said he refuses to play for the Texans and did not play. That ain't cool. Woo! Jason, that's a great question. I need to get a message to Taro Kotani. I think he will do it, but I will certainly ask him in his hotel room before the Spurs game tonight to light the holy Gregory Charles Popovich prayer candle. And I do believe that the Taro Kotani mojo will play into the victory tonight for the San Antonio Spurs over the Toronto Raptors. Here we come. Spinning the tunes, getting your groove on a Wednesday morning, March 9th. Chris Duel show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, Tom Petty, the Heartbreakers, and Jeremy KOLOK. We get ready for Bill Schoening, who will join us at the top of the hour on a Spurs game day / game night, and what could be a very special game tonight for the Spurs and Coach GREGG Popovich, as a victory tonight, and Pop will surpass Don Nelson, his former head coach. He was an assistant to Don Nelson long ago on the Golden State Warriors staff, and his good friend and mentor. In fact, I saw a quote from Don Nelson posted yesterday. The San Antonio Express News contacted him. I think Jeff McDonald, the reporter, asking him about Pop, and Don Nelson very excited and happy for Pop, and they remain very, very good friends. So Don Nelson rooting for GREGG Popovich to go get this record along with a Spurs victory tonight. We'll get into all of that with Bill Schoening coming up in moments. It is Shannon's Salty Shakedown. But first, how about some sports birthdays and this day in sports history? On this day in earlier than that, on this day in 1897, the Major League Baseball Cleveland Spiders, some of the fans started calling them the Indians. That was on this day in 1897. By 1915, Cleveland made that name official. The Cleveland Indians. They were originally the Cleveland Spiders. That name is now changed. No more Indians. And so there's that. On this day in 1961, the Philadelphia Warriors' Wilt Chamberlain scored 67 points, just a day at the office for Wilt, in a 135-126 win over the New York Knicks at the Philadelphia Civic Center. Wonder if young Bill Schoening was in attendance. Philly boy, loved everything Philadelphia, still does. On this day in 1979, Major League Baseball Commissioner Bowie Kuhn ordered baseball to give equal access to female reporters. That's right. As recently as 1979, if you were a female reporter and you wanted to get quotes from baseball players after the game, oh, no, you can't go in there. That's the locker room. You can't go. Wow. Times have changed. Thank goodness. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Chess is not a sport, I don't believe, but it's reported in sports pages and even a site that lists sports birthdays. And this guy was a big deal, so I give him props. He's no longer with us. Born on this day in 1943, one of the greatest chess players in America, a world champion who defeated Russian Boris Spassky. Bobby Fischer, world chess champion 1972-75, was born on this day in Chicago, Illinois. Bobby Fischer passed away in 2008. Born on this day in 1961, the Pirate, Mike Leach, football coach extraordinaire. I love him. I'm highly entertained by him. Mike Leach was born in Susanville, California. I don't know where Susanville is. I lived in California for a while, but I don't know Susanville. Born on this day in 1965, the Boz, Brian Bosworth, College Football Hall of Fame linebacker, was part of the University of Oklahoma championship team in 1985, a one-time Seattle Seahawk. Brian Bosworth was born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Born on this day in 1981, one of the 88s, former Cowboy Antonio Bryant, born on this day in 1981. And also today is the birthday of, and I thank Luisa Alanis for pointing this out to us on the live video feed. Happy birthday to the Spurs Coyote. It's the Spurs Coyote's birthday, and tonight is Coyote bobblehead night. What a night it could be. You got Taro Kotani in attendance, Coyote bobblehead night. Pop can set the record. My goodness.
But Tiger Woods is going into the World Golf Hall of Fame. Yes, the Tiger Woods. He's somehow done enough to earn that achievement, to be gifted such an honor. Because I think when you think of best golf players and Hall of Fame for golf, I don't know that his name comes anywhere. No, of course not. This is like the easiest decision that's probably ever happened in the history of any sports Hall of Fame. For him to go into this, it's an honor that will be bestowed upon him this evening, Chris. And that's not the part I love, because we already knew that was coming. What I love is that he has made it a family affair. As we recall, the last tournament he played was with his son Charlie in December. He and Charlie are known for hitting the links and getting out on the course and playing. So Charlie gets a lot of love and media attention himself, and it helps that he's a pretty good golfer, just like his pops. But Tiger has asked a very special person to introduce him into the World Golf Hall of Fame. His daughter, Sam, who is just 14 years old. She was born in 2007, made one of her first appearances on the course with Tiger when he won the PGA Championship. I mean, I'm excited to talk to Andy about this.
David, if you're in here, I just saw your tweet. David sending me a tweet of the Coach Pop T-shirt he's going to wear tonight, which is outstanding. There you are. Great, David. Great photo you sent me of the Pop T-shirt you're going to wear tonight. That's way cool. Bill Schoening going to join us here in a few moments. Very cool, Patrick, that you met Taro. Maxwell, I'm not sure why that sound went out. Now, I sometimes mute. Sometimes I mute the sound going in or out. It has to do with trying to minimize the echo. So that's possibly what happened. Let's see here. Good morning, Fred. Got to find my Bill Schoening photo here in a second as Jeremy gets ready to call Bill. Okay, let's see. There's Jeremy calling Bill. The Bill Schoening commemorative photo suitable for framing. Where is he? There's that one. I got another one, though. That one's wide. I got another one there. Okay. Here we go. 8 o'clock hour. There we go. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney on this March 9th, 2022, a night that Coach Gregory Charles Popovich could surpass Don Nelson as the all-time leader in NBA victories in the regular season. Of course, as we say that, we underscore the fact that Pop already holds the record for regular season plus postseason victories. But hey, another record for Coach Pop. I'll take it. The man who will have the call tonight via 1200 WOAI out of San Antonio and across the Spurs radio network will be the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening. He joins us on Wednesday mornings. We always appreciate it, especially on a game day. Bill Schoening, how are you doing this morning? Well, and since you bring that up, Bill, what was the scene last night calling the college baseball game? And again, we say this a lot. You're always working, man. You got a night off from the Spurs and you're out there calling baseball. That was pretty amazing.
They played the Agua Caliente Clippers last night in the G League game at the AT&T Center. So I pinch hit for Carl. He needed some help calling the UIW UTSA game. And UTSA's got a really good-looking pitcher named Luke Malone. I think he went 8 innings scoreless last night, and he's worked something like 16 or 17 innings so far this year. He's only given up 1 earned run. So, again, UTSA, pretty good in baseball this year. It's just fun. I just love doing that on the side. One thing I missed when I left the Longhorns and went to the Spurs was the opportunity to do some college baseball. So now I'm back doing that and having a lot of fun doing it. Birds up. Birds up.
Bill, you mentioned the Clippers, so I'm going to use that as my in now because last night, prior to the Warriors versus Clippers game, there was a surprise appearance by Will Ferrell, but not Will Ferrell as himself. Will Ferrell as Jackie Moon, the main player on that semi-pro team. And from the movie Semi-Pro, it's certainly got a lot of folks talking. Have you ever seen anything like that at any of the games that you broadcast where a celebrity comes out, whether it's in character or just to have some fun with the team before the game?
No, but Chris knows this story that I did go up to Will Ferrell and tell him that my Harry Carey imitation absolutely obliterates his Harry Carey imitation. And that was at a Laker game a few years ago. And he just looked at me and said, "Who the hell are you?"
Hi, everybody, So, because I hear people doing a Harry Carey impersonation of Will Ferrell's impersonation, and they need to go straight to the source. Listen to Harry. Don't do the imitation off of Will Ferrell's impersonation. So I tried to give him some material. He just kind of rolled his eyes, But last night, I didn't get a chance to see all of the highlights, but I saw some of the photos with he and Klay Thompson. Looked like they were having some fun with it. So, and of course, that's an excellent movie. It's kind of a parody film, right, Chris? Because you watch a lot of ABA games. It wasn't quite that bad, but I understand where they were going with the parody on the ABA. One of my favorite books ever is by a guy named Terry Pluto, who wrote Loose Balls, and that's basically a history of all the different things that happened during those wild ABA years.
Oh, man. And Bill, as you know, having been there at the Hemisphere Arena in the ABA, I love any coverage and remembrance of the ABA. And like you, I read the book Loose Balls. It is spot on. It captures the essence of the ABA. And HBO, gosh, I'd love to find it many years ago, maybe 15 years ago. HBO did a documentary that was inspired by Loose Balls, all about the NBA and the ABA, and it was just phenomenal. And it was such a great time. But I agree. I was, as much as I love Will Ferrell and as much as I love the ABA, I was, having been there, I was a little disappointed by the movie Semi-Pro. It was nice. It was fun. I think it could have been, it wasn't Will Ferrell's funniest ever, but my favorite part, Bill, the director of Semi-Pro was from San Antonio. So there were some scenes where they were playing the Flint Tropics. The fictitious team in the movie was playing the San Antonio Spurs. And my favorite part, as a guy who works with you on the broadcast now, was seeing on press row, seeing the WOAI radio banner that was it was very authentic from back in the day. It was very, very cool to see kind of the homage to WOAI from a director who grew up in San Antonio listening to Spurs radio.
Remember those banners, those little skirt banners that we'd hang in front of ourselves when we broadcast games, let everybody know that we were doing the game? I remember when I was at KSAM Radio in Huntsville, that was part of our travel deals. Like, you always packed the banner to let people know that KSAM was broadcasting the game. No matter, I've got a picture from, I think we were in Lafayette, Louisiana, playing the Ragin' Cajuns, and there's a picture of me behind the microphone, and right in front of me, on press row, KSAM. So I don't think we do that anymore. Of course, now with LED lighting and all the different ads that come up on the board, we're not allowed to throw our name up there. But that is a great memory, and WOAI is prominently mentioned, or at least displayed in that shot. So that's a pretty cool little throwback there.
Well, focusing on the Spurs now, they take on the Toronto Raptors tonight at home. What can you tell us about this matchup? And also, that little thing where if the Spurs win, Coach Pop becomes the winningest coach of all time.
Are we allowed to talk about that? Pop, you'd rather probably not talk about that. As Chris already mentioned, Pop's already got the record for combined regular season and postseason. So he already is the winningest coach in NBA history. Now, tonight, of course, or when he finally gets it, and hopefully it'll be tonight, it will be a big event, I think. I think it's very important to recognize him, but he'll probably not be into that as much as everybody else will be. And I like the piece that Jeff McDonald did in the Express News, tracking down Don Nelson in Maui, trying to find him. Of course, Don Nelson is the guy that hired Gregg Popovich as an assistant with the Golden State Warriors back in the early 90s, and they've remained close friends. I remember a trip we took to Istanbul, Turkey back in 2014, and Coach Nelly kind of hung out. He'd already retired, I guess, and he was with us for that trip, and what a nice guy to talk to, very laid back. And I was surprised to find out, although I kind of knew it, he was 81 years old. So he'll be watching from Maui tonight in hopes that his former assistant, Gregg Popovich, breaks his record. So good things all the way around. And, of course, Pop getting a lot of the proper accolades from all over the league, from other coaches and players.
And as we talk Spurs with Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill, as you mentioned, and as you know firsthand from all of your years working with the Spurs, Pop, of course, does not seek the spotlight himself. He does not seek the accolades, and whenever possible, he will deflect them. So it just makes me wonder tonight if indeed the Spurs win, and I got a feeling they will tonight, just a gut feeling. At the end of the game, I just wonder if we see anything. Now, Pop has probably told his players and his coaches, you're not doing anything. But I'm almost hoping, Bill, and it's going to be fun to find out whenever it does happen, if it's tonight, if it's later in the weekend, will one of the Spurs, and as you and I have discussed, Bill and Shannon, that DeJounte Murray is now the leader of the San Antonio Spurs. Does DeJounte, does he have, I know there's not a Gatorade bucket like there is on a football sideline, but Pop loves wine. Might there be a bottle of wine ready to go on the court? Might there be a little champagne that is popped on the court? I got to admit, Bill, we know Pop, but I'm hoping for some kind of an outward display, hopefully on the court, that everybody can see when that clock goes to 0-0 whenever the Spurs get their next win.
I would imagine, Chris, if they have anything planned, they're going to keep it hush-hush, because if they let that out early, Pop would probably squelch it, right? I mean, squash it right away. So I don't know if they've got anything planned or not. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But, of course, first things first, they got to win the game. And, they're coming off that win over the LA Lakers. This is a Toronto team that beat them pretty good in Toronto. Of course, Fred VanVleet really went crazy in that ball game. He had 7 threes and scored 33 points. VanVleet, by the way, is questionable for tonight. And it looks like Lonnie Walker and Devin Vassell will be back tonight. They both missed the Laker game with the illness, and they are listed as probable for tonight's ball game.
Well, and the Lakers were most recently in San Antonio, and Russell Westbrook, as a lot of people are now calling him due to his shooting struggles, he's now saying that, in the past, he let that kind of stuff roll off of him, but he went to a parent-teacher conference recently where the teacher told him that how much his son loved his last name. He would go around school saying, "I'm a Westbrook." And Russell then realized that he needed to protect his last name, not just for him, but for his family that carries it. Your thoughts on his play and what he looked like when he was in town last week?
Well, a lot has been put on Westbrook, especially now with Anthony Davis out. And, in the very beginning of the year, you guys remember this, we were talking about the favorites in the West, and I wouldn't even consider the Lakers one of the favorites in the West. They just didn't like the way the roster was constructed with so many veteran players. I understand the need for veterans, but you also need a little youth in there and a little athleticism. And I just felt like, sometimes the older players, they don't always able to, play 82 games. So I just wasn't real thrilled about the fact that they didn't have much depth behind their star players. So, Westbrook has struggled for sure. And I don't know what it's going to take to get the Lakers into they're in the playoff hunt, obviously. But right now they are at 28-36. They're 8 games under 500. They're in the 9th spot in the Western Conference, and the Pelicans are right behind them. So there's a real chance with the way they're playing right now, the Lakers could actually drop out of the play-in situation, and that would really be a head scratcher for a lot of people in LA. But with Anthony Davis out and LeBron, of course, didn't play the other night, there's a lot of pressure on guys like Westbrook to come through, and his shooting percentage is down. He's been turning the ball over a little bit. I think that, other teams are able to focus on him when the other stars aren't on the floor.
And so amazing, Bill, as you mentioned, the Lakers struggles and possibly, falling out of the play-in situation, which would be at the number 10 slot in the conference standings. To know that it seems like just yesterday, that bubble in Orlando where the Lakers won the NBA championship less than 2 years ago. And LeBron James, even though he didn't play against the Spurs the other night, LeBron putting up monster numbers. I think especially for his age, I just find it stunning that the Lakers are having, and you've got a Russell Westbrook on that team and you've got a lot of talent on that roster. I just find it stunning that they're not having more success in the one-loss column.
Yeah, they just haven't been able to put it all together, and they've had a lot of guys in and out of the lineup. It's difficult for Frank Vogel. I know a lot of people are putting pressure on him, but as a coach for that situation, I think it's just very difficult for Frank Vogel to kind of get chemistry with this particular club with guys in and out of the lineup and veteran players not available.
Bill, since we last spoken to you, you have now called more than 2,000 games with the San Antonio Spurs, and consecutively at that. I saw a lot of people reach out to you via social media. What was that game like? Was it emotional? Did you feel different? Is it like kind of like a birthday where you're just like, yeah, it's a special day, but I don't know that I feel older necessarily?
Well, I really appreciated the recognition I got from the Spurs and from Spurs TV. The Coyote came up and gave me a big sign and gave me a big hug, put a little weird blue hat on my head, like a birthday hat, one of those deals. But the thing that really touched me the most was that the Spurs made a donation to a charity that I'm involved with, the Kairos Prison Ministry. And in honor of the 2,000 consecutive games, they wrote a check for $2,000 to the prison ministry, which will certainly help bring light into a very dark place. A couple of times I've served on the music team for that ministry, and we go into the Ferguson unit, which is a maximum security prison. Most of the guys in there are serving 25 to life. They don't have a lot to look forward to. So when we come in there and bring them some music, bring them some food, bring them some love, they really do appreciate it. At first, they're not quite sure about us. There's 42 brothers in white, we call them, in the program. And by the end of the weekend, they're having a good time. They're dancing, they're laughing, they're singing, and they don't want us to leave. I remember one Sunday I was getting ready to leave after the closing ceremony, and two of the guys said, "Hey, you can't go." I said, "No, I really enjoyed my time here, guys, but I am going. I'm going to take off. I really enjoyed my time here, but anyway, it's a really it's a heartwarming thing to bring a little hope to guys who are really in a tough situation."
Well, and Bill, we haven't talked about that with you on the radio until now, and I just love that you do that and the people who work with you via the Kairos Prison Ministry do that. You know, 'cause we talk about, you know, all the great things the Spurs do via Spurs Give, and they do things in the community. But I gotta believe, you know, I think for a lot of people in our culture, in our society, they think, you know, these are prisoners, these are convicted criminals, they've done bad things, so I'm not going to care about them. But indeed, and you know this better than anybody because you've worked with them, Bill, you know, these are human beings, and you know, and we have all made mistakes, some bigger than others. We have all sinned, some more than others. But I think ultimately, you know, we hope that as human beings, we can grow and evolve and become better over time. So I love that you're involved, and I love that there are people out there going to the prisons in this case and helping and providing hope and love and care. It must mean so much to those, you know, guys who are incarcerated to know there's people on the outside who truly care about them.
Well, you know, one of the things that I realized while I was in there, Chris, is that I grew up in a loving family. You know, I was from the inner city. We didn't have a lot, but we had love in our family. And when I sit down and talk to these guys, and we sit at a big table, there's like 8 of us. I'm with 7 inmates, or maybe one other guy, one other volunteer before we sing, because I sing in the band for these guys. But I realized that just about every story I heard was, you know, abandonment. These kids grew up on their own. They're in the hood. You know, dad was gone, mom was dealing drugs. Yeah, I mean, all these different situations where they were behind the 8 ball before they even got their lives started, you know. And I didn't have that. I had a loving family. So I think that we can all be thankful if we grew up in a situation where, you know, we have a mom and a dad that work and that, you know, provide us love and care and nurturing from the very beginning. And when you don't have that, it's very, very difficult. They end up on the streets at the age of 7 or 8. This is the way their lives end up. And I'm not saying that they're the victims necessarily, but I think that it's very, very difficult to overcome that kind of a situation for a lot of people in society. So I'll never forget Randy Nettles is the guy that really kind of brought me into the program. His opening pitch to me was, "Hey, do you want to sing in a band?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "Would you like to do it for 4 days in a maximum security prison with guys serving 25 to life?" I go, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" You know, so it was a little different, you know, deal. But once you go in there and you get the fear behind you, and there's a little bit of fear, a little bit of trepidation, but you go in there and you realize that these are human beings. Yes, they've made mistakes. Yes, they've done some terrible things. But you know, they really don't have much to look forward to because they're going to spend probably the rest of their lives, a lot of them anyway, behind bars. And the conditions are bad. I got the chance to go down on the cell block and meet some guys while they were in their cells. And the conditions are really not very good. So it makes you thankful for all the different things that you've been given in your life. And these guys didn't have that chance.
Well, Bill, we are thankful that you're out doing things like that. You do all sorts of things for people in the community and in all walks of life. So it's very, very cool. And it's very, very Spur-like. I mean, we've seen this from so many Spurs, whether it's Patty Mills or Tim Duncan or Pop with the food bank. So many things the Spurs do in the community as well. Bill, I got a good feeling about tonight. Can't wait to be a part of the broadcast with you as the Spurs take on the Toronto Raptors, and an opportunity for Coach Gregg Popovich to make some history tonight if he wins and can surpass Don Nelson for all-time regular season victories. That broadcast pregame tonight on 1200 WOAI and across the Spurs radio network with Bill begins at 7 o'clock tonight. Tune in for that. Should be a whole lot of fun. Bill Schoening, we always appreciate it. We especially appreciate it on a game day / game night. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the radio tonight.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Shannon. Have a great day, guys.
Absolutely. Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. And Shannon, just imagine that for a moment. And it's great to volunteer and do something, in this case for prisoners. And I never knew, I knew, you know, that Bill was going into with this organization, Kairos Prison Ministry, and working with prisoners. But I thought it was like an afternoon. I thought it was like, yeah, you know, we go, you know, every so often it's a 4-day weekend. They go into a maximum security prison and interact and entertain and provide love and care for 4 days. That's I had no idea. That's amazing.
I had never heard of that, but as we were discussing with Bill Schoening, my mom actually texted me and said my grandfather was very involved in Kairos and was a leader for a couple of years. So look at that. Connections made everywhere.
That is What a small world, and how cool. And kudos to your grandfather and anybody who steps up and helps other human beings who can use some love and care. And Bill Schoening certainly doing that. You know, in the 6 o'clock hour, we do the high five play of the day. So kind of a belated high five there to Bill Schoening, Shannon's grandfather, and everybody who has worked with the Kairos Prison Ministry and organizations that do great work like that. Coming up, we will track all of the stories going on in the world of sports. A lot of things we haven't gotten to, including news about Deion Sanders, prime time, Kyler Murray. What's the latest on him? You know, quarterbacks in the news in the National Football League, and a lot of movement. And certainly Kyler Murray is a quarterback who's made a lot of noise lately with the Arizona Cardinals, and his social media has gotten a lot of attention. We'll give you the latest on him. Lots more coming at you before 9 o'clock. Jeremy KOLOK making the show go. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris, with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show.
And what you love.
Jerome Sosa, very cool, sir, that you were a part of that and have participated. That's tremendous work. And again, I, think about how most people, would probably say, I'm not going to help prisoners, convicted criminals. And there you see what you just said. Look at that, Jerome. What Jerome just wrote. It changed my life. So many times when you volunteer to help other people, here you are helping them, but it often does, as Jerome describes, changes his life. Good morning as well to Michelle Johnson from Marysville, Kansas. Always enjoy having you in. Frank Ramirez, good morning as well. Let me see here. I've got to edit 2 more radio spots. Let me see what I need to do here. 14. Open. Now I am almost done with this. All right, I got to check something here real quick. Frank says, go Spurs, go. Thank you, Frank. And amen. Let's see, where is that? Oh, I was looking for that.
When I'm ready to clean my floors, I always have a Swiffer Wet Jet washable ready to go. Yeah, Swiffer Wet Jet now has new washable pads. I just use, wash, and use again. It's great. And they're not just any pads either. They're 3-zone microfiber pads that are safe on wood floors. The Wet Jet spray breaks down the dirt, and the microfiber pad
That's what I need.
So try Swiffer Wet Jet washable today. Use, wash, use.
Yeah, Jerome. to see Bill and everybody in action there doing their thing. Let's see. That I need. Frank, I have a good feeling about tonight as well. I think it happens tonight. I hope it does. I think it does, and I hope it does. Jason, we heard from Bill a few moments ago that Lonnie Walker should play tonight. We don't know for sure. Don't know about Devin and Keldon Johnson. I think they're expected to play, but I don't think there's been an official word yet. And I don't think we've seen. In fact, let me check. Sometimes Spurs PR will put out an injury report before the game. Go to their site. As of yesterday, Devin Vassell probable, Lonnie Walker probable, Devontae Kaycock out G League, Joe Wieskamp out G League. So your three big ones of regulars. Keita Bates-Diop is doubtful with low back soreness. Devin Vassell probable. And Lonnie Walker probable. So that's the latest from the Spurs as of 5:00 yesterday. They put out that report. Wes Perkins looking forward to Selection Sunday.
We're back. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Join in by dialing 1-800-706.
Welcome in. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy KOLOK, as always, doing a bang-up job as your Soundscape stylist. We've talked a lot, and we should, of football and quarterbacks today. Of course, the big news yesterday, Aaron Rodgers, the word released that he will stay in Green Bay. Russell Wilson traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos. Some court action, grand jury convening on Friday to discuss more in Houston about Deshawn Watson. We will see what happens there. Shannon, you brought this up earlier, and it was one of the interesting things about Aaron Rodgers. You know, originally the word drops yesterday that he will stay in Green Bay, and the terms of the deal were, reported by people like Adam Schefter. And then Pat McAfee, his go-to guy for that Pat McAfee show podcast. And I guess Aaron himself said, no. Any talk of actual terms is premature. So it's interesting. You talk about Aaron Rodgers enjoying the publicity, enjoying the spotlight. So not only does he make news about, I'm staying in Green Bay, but he also wanted to, pour water on anybody who thought they understood what the terms of the deal were.
Well, those who reported the deal, the likes of Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, the timing again, like Aaron was like Tuesday was going to be Aaron's day, right? And it's announced that he is going to be returning to the Packers, and that's the news. But then Russell Wilson and the move to Denver for him becomes the leading story. And so conveniently, that is when Aaron Rodgers was like, well, wait a minute. I want to let everyone know that I am staying with the Packers, but reports of me signing a contract are inaccurate. Just to wait a minute, this was my day.
Wow. And it'll be interesting to see how Aaron continues to stay in the news now that apparently he's staying in Green Bay. Another story you've been tracking, Shannon, and we've talked about Deion Sanders and some of his medical issues. And there's news on the Deion Sanders front. What do you have there?
Yeah, so there's currently a documentary airing called Coach Prime, which took place during that last season with Coach Sanders and Jackson State University. And as we know, we talked about the scooter story, right? That a coach made fun of Coach Sanders being on a scooter or in a wheelchair because he had foot problems. And apparently the foot problems stemmed from a previous surgery. He had some blood clotting in his foot, and ultimately that led to the amputation of his big toe and then the toe right next to it on one foot, because they were even talking about maybe having to get rid of the foot as a whole or even up to his knee on that leg. So luckily, given that those were possibly the circumstances, he said at one point they were saying, let's make sure he has a life with the complications that arose. So, he's without two toes, and listen, use all of the scooters and wheelchairs and accessories you can and intend to, and motorize them too, or have someone push you. I'd probably be that person.
Yeah. But I mean, you look at Deion Sanders and, and we all automatically think about other people who are highly successful. And in the case of Deion Sanders, all those years seeing him in the media and on the NFL Network, looks to be in great shape. And
Yes.
You just think, you look at his life, and he was such a great athlete, and now proving to be a great coach and a great recruiter. And you just assume, he's got a charmed existence. It's like everything's great if you're Deion Sanders. And I mean, obviously, you mentioned they considered amputating his entire foot, and the blood clots causing amputation of some toes, including his big toe. My God, that's still, we talk about Dick Vitale and his cancer battle, which is obviously awful and scary and life-threatening, but my goodness, that's still quite an invasive and quite a traumatic surgery and ordeal that Deion Sanders has gone through and is going through.
Yes, and for him, I'm happy he got through his playing career without having this, because we hear all the time of specifically with wide receivers, like they have toe issues. And one morning I was listening to the show before us, two bros and a cup of Joe, and I guess they were talking about how a lot of wide receivers, for whatever reason, wear their shoes extremely tight. So on top of the hard in and outs and cutting, they're wearing shoes that are not kind to their feet, and doing so for hours at a time, right? A lot of them have them taped up too. So you imagine with the long career that Deion had, how bad off his feet were to begin with, and that the surgeries and the complications from that just were not assisting in his recovery.
And you hear a lot about athletes getting what's called turf toe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not thinking clearly, you might say, oh, it's his toe. Can't you just put something on that and go out there? And my God, if you've ever had, most of us have, some toe issues, that can be excruciating, especially to walk on and certainly to run on and compete while having something like that. It's rough. It's god awful.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But and listen, as a fantasy team owner throughout the NFL season, I've had plenty of guys with the turf toe, and I've been that person of like, you had this last week, shouldn't it be over with by now? But then you hear stories like this, and it's like, no. Ice it, make sure it's up, make sure it's getting enough blood flow, make sure we're doing everything we need to do to get you back out on that field safely. Because I still need you to play, but I need you at your best.
There you go. Absolutely. And of course, Kyler Murray has been in the news. Famously, he first changes his social media to take down any imagery of him in Arizona Cardinals gear, even though he's still under contract. Then about 2 weeks ago, his agent releases this letter, an open letter on why he deserves all the money he deserves, and he wants a contract renegotiation now. So, with all that quarterback news yesterday, Shannon, Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay, Russell Wilson going to Denver, Deshawn Watson, a grand jury going to convene and deliberate his case in Houston later this week. What was the Kyler Murray news from yesterday?
Well, a couple weeks ago, as you said, he scrubbed images of himself and any association with the Arizona Cardinals from his social media. And I use Instagram a lot. I don't know how this works, because I've seen it happen before with celebrities where their page goes blank except for maybe a handful of pictures like Kyler Murray did. But then all of a sudden, all of those pictures are back. They're back from the dead. It's like they never left. And you wonder, the timing. Yesterday, Russell Wilson no longer in his division, right? Not that he was a threat necessarily last year, given where the Seahawks were. I mean, they were the only team in that division not to make it to the playoffs. But I think anytime you do have Russell Wilson, you have to take him seriously as competition. And he may think, you know what, it's my turn to be the big man in this division, right? Jimmy G doesn't seem to be long for this world. The Rams, Matthew Stafford, maybe that was a fluke, a one-hit wonder, a 1-year transaction. I can come back and win it all for this division and take us deeper into the playoffs. So maybe he's had a little bit of a change of heart. Maybe he's just a young 22-year-old guy who likes to play games. I'm not sure, but nevertheless, his Instagram profile is back in full.
My goodness. So we'll continue to keep an eye on the Kyler Murray situation with the Arizona Cardinals. Another development that we haven't mentioned yet, Shannon, but it is newsworthy. Last night, Major League Baseball representatives for the owners and representatives for the players apparently talked and negotiated last night until 2:30 in the morning Eastern time. So I guess 1:30 in the morning in the Central Time Zone. they apparently no deal has been reached yet, but the good news they are saying is that no new games were canceled, as we've been reporting. Opening day canceled last week, along with a couple of the early series in Major League Baseball. And you brought up baseball earlier in the Salty Shakedown regarding the new news that Apple TV Plus is going to have Friday night baseball doubleheaders. But I'm just hopeful, Shannon. This is not a good story for sports. It's not a good story for baseball. I want to see Major League Baseball come to an accord here, come to a deal, and let us know that the season is on track. So I guess the fact that they're negotiating until 2:30 in the morning and not quitting at 10 p.m. or 8 p.m., I guess that shows a will to want to hammer something out by these parties in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, both parties need the season to start as quickly as possible to make all of the money they can. It's unfortunate for baseball that this is all happening right when they should be at spring training, right when the season should be getting underway. Fans are excited about a deal like Apple TV Plus and the MLB announced. They're excited to get MLB The Show, which continues to announce innovations and new features to the video game that usually gets released when the season starts. And it's something that fans of the game play alongside and go throughout the season, and the main course has yet to arrive. We're still on the appetizer here, and we're not sure. I guess they're killing the cow in the back because that steak is taking way too long to cook, and no one knows what to do with it right now. But great to hear that from the talks that went in late into the night that at the very least no more games have been canceled up to this point, because we want as long as the season is, those players, those owners, they want to get as many fans in the stands and as many eyes on them as much as they can. So no new games being canceled is a small victory I think we can take away from that.
And of course, for Astros fans like us, once we talk about the dominoes falling in the NFL regarding quarterbacks, starting with the Aaron Rodgers domino that fell yesterday, obviously, once an agreement is reached in short order, we should know what Carlos Correa is going to do in free agency. Does he quickly sign with another team, or does he come back to the Houston Astros? We will find out. Our poll question today has to do with tonight's Spurs game. And as we hope, and I got a good feeling, the Spurs will win tonight, then GREGG Popovich would surpass Don Nelson for the all-time record in most regular season victories. Shannon, our poll question asked about, will there be any kind of a celebration tonight if indeed that happens? What have we learned from our poll question?
Well, no one seems to think that it'll just be Pop saying, look at me, I did this. All about me right now in this moment. 53% saying not going to happen, no celebration whatsoever. 34% from the players, that the players will do something for Pop and celebrate him. And 11% saying both the players and Pop will revel in the moment.
It'll be fun to see. And I really, really want to see something, an outward on the court celebration of some kind tonight. So we shall see. Jeremy KOLOK, I said at the outset, you look a little tired. You gonna get a nap today, man? You got what does your day look like from this point on?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a nap today. That sounds very nice today. And then I'm gonna wake. I don't have to come back in here today. Thank the good Lord up there Almighty. But I will wake up. I will make sure to wake up so that I can hear Bill Schoening on the call tonight, and of course Chris in studio down the hall on News Radio 1200 WOAI. Y'all be on at 7. I
7
think,
o'clock
right?
pregame at 7.
Company man.
Game tonight at the AT&T Center. Yeah, you gotta like it. Company man and pimping the Spurs broadcast. We always appreciate that. Yeah, Shannon, like Jeremy, you and I take naps with this morning. If I don't get my midday nap, I'm kind of a grumpy, cantankerous, cranky kind of guy. So yeah, I think I will be looking for Slumberland as well. What do you got going later today, Shannon?
I believe I've got a softball game to go view this evening. Hopefully it's not too chilly. Hopefully the wind isn't like it was on Sunday when I went to a baseball game. But that's my plan.
Who's playing softball? Who are you?
The boyfriend.
Who are you viewing?
We're big
I was
supporters.
gonna guess that, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
Very
we
nice.
carry the water bottle.
What position?
He
Sweet.
he
What-
does
what
short
position does the
shortstop.
boyfriend play.
Shortstop.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, see, Major League Baseball. If you're not going to play baseball, we'll just go watch softball then.
That's right.
We'll just go watch Shannon's boyfriend play shortstop.
It's a fun time.
Take that, MLB.
Yeah, if we don't get baseball soon, can we start coming to watch?
Yeah,
Yes, I will send
We'll
you the
start driving up
schedule.
to Austin.
Send you the schedule.
Sweet. And maybe you can live stream those games, Shannon, so we can all watch.
Oh
and
yeah, I'm sure he'd
take the
appreciate
place. So
that.
it'll be replacement games for baseball.
Yeah.
Shannon, Jeremy, outstanding. Have yourself a great Wednesday.
Do it again tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Woo! Andy Everett, among others, will join us on the show tomorrow. And hopefully we are celebrating Coach Pop being the king of the hill in NBA all-time regular season victories. Go Spurs, go. Go Pop. For Shannon, for Jeremy, thank you to Bill Schoening for joining us today. We will see you in 21 hours. Adios, amigos. Wes Perkins, farewell. See y'all later, everybody. Spurs React tonight after the game. We do that on live video on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. So go Spurs, go Pop. We'll see you tonight and tomorrow. Later.